everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am sorting through slides and I've upped it to 3 times the speed, so I am moving fairly fast in it. And this is just the precursor to me photographing the slides. I'm trying to go through and make sure there's no mold in them very quickly, trying to sort by categories or by dates or types of slides. This all happens before I start going through and actually photographing them. In total, I think I spent about 3 hours doing this. And again, this is just the prep work. This is the work behind the scenes you don't see. This is not going towards any actual time doing work to sell on eBay. This is the sorting. Depending on what you sell, you may have prep work for other things like stain removal, cleaning items, going through and, making sure there's no damage, or sorting and doing laundry. There's always prep work behind the scenes, and that is what this is with the slides, sorting out and making sure everything's okay. And then once I get that done, I will go through and photograph them while they're in their categories. Sometimes it's really easy for me to sort the slides out. I can just sort them out by year, and I don't mind doing that. So I'd be like 1960, and then all the slides from 1960. However, if there's something very specific from 1960 or something that is labeled, then I'll sort that out differently. These slides were a bit of a pain in the butt because they all had these metal frames around them, which makes them incredibly hard to store and ship and really increases the weight on them. So I had to go through and manually take out all of these slides out of their metal frames, which took a while and did ding up my hands fairly decently. I got some blood out on it, and a couple scratches and dings, but for the price I get for the slides, it wasn't worth it to keep the metal frames on. So that took even longer to take off all the metal frames. I will say these slides didn't have, so if you see the slides with the red frames, they're Kodachrome slides and they're vintage and they have red framing around them. They don't have date stamps on them, where the white slides with like the orange Kodachrome corner, like swipe on it, those tend to have date stamps on them. So the red slides, I have to kind of guesstimate depending like on what was in there, if there was any years, or somebody wrote a year on there, but they don't have a physical stamp on there, where the other slides do have a physical stamp. Now, the physical stamp isn't when the picture was taken, but instead when the picture was developed. So be aware of that. If a person didn't develop their pictures very quickly, the pictures could have happened, 6 months to a year before the stamp on the slide, but the stamp gives you a definitive, okay, this is what it is. But the red frame Kodachromes do not have the stamps on them. They tend to be earlier, though, than the other Kodachromes that do have stamps. I found most red frame Kodachromes that I've come across, and again, this is personal, so I'm sure there's someone out there that's like, no, I've had these, but I found most of my red frame Kodachromes are from the 50s. So I can kind of go 50s, early 60s at the latest. That's when these slides are from. And you see my arm moving really fast, and that is just me sorting them into different piles. Also, you saw that I do pull out like flowers or pictures of animals or things that are too dark or damaged and everything. I try to keep them together. This slide lot was particularly difficult for me because there was no writing on it and no order to it. There were red frames mixed with non-red frames. It was almost like someone had completely dumped an entire file box on the floor and just shoved them all back together in whatever order there was. So it did take me a pretty long time to sort through it, where I've gotten really lucky and kind of spoiled with previous slide lots that the boxes have either been labeled very well or the slides themselves have been labeled. But this, it was just all jumbled together, which took me quite a long time to sort them out and get them prepped to even list. And the metal frames, again, pain in the butt. They just tore my hands up to get them on and off. I couldn't imagine what it would have been like to deal with those on a regular basis on the slides. And honestly, the metal frames did cause some damage to the slides. If the frame bent, they warped the slides. There was no molding or anything because they're like aluminum can type material, but it was a pain in the butt. I was not pleased about that, but I was happy they did come off. I was worried that they were stamped in and like pressure sealed, so I couldn't get them off, and that would have really increased the shipping a lot on the slides. And only particular machines would have dealt with slides with those metal frames on them, which would have made selling them even harder. So I am happy I was able to take them off. Slightly disappointed they took forever to take off. I was also disappointed that, again, all of the slides were jumbled together. There was no like rhyme or reason in the order of the red frames, so I had to go through and kind of pick out like, okay, this is autumn, fall, so on and so forth, so I can get an idea of it. I will say a lot of these slides were not travel. A lot of them were like Americana, homecoming, weddings, stuff like that. No like tourist destinations, which was kind of a bummer, but they also sell. That it's not that big of a deterrent, but I do like the travel ones because they add a bit of uniqueness. I always smell the slides too. If they have a bit of formaldehyde smell to them, they might be rotting, or there might be some like mold or issues like that, or they would have been stored with heat. And if they smell like that, I will not sell them. So check the smell, check what they look like, make sure they're not too bent or warped. And if they are, but they're of like a very unique thing, I will still sell them, but I will put in my description, slides are warped. Please look at pictures. The most damage I've had is somebody had their projection machine had caused like burning on the edges of the white part of the slide. So I was also aware of that. I am going through and very quickly looking at each one of these slides picture wise. Again, this is just my first pass. This isn't like even really looking into a lot of detail on if it's, the subject of the picture, what is in it. Is this something that I can sell or not sell? So this is my very quick first pass through before I even photograph to list any of that. This is just sorting this lot of slides, which I want to say was around 400. It took me about 3 hours, which is a lot quicker processing time than previously had been. These were weird, like souvenir, I don't know if I would even call them souvenir, like promotional farm slides, so of like farm equipment and stuff. So it was like a dealership type thing, like look at our farm equipment. So I wasn't sure how to sell those, but I did sell them like as a lot of farm memorabilia slides. But they were mixed in with the normal slides also, and also had the metal frames around them. Just having to go through and put all of those together and sort them all out was incredibly time consuming. This, I tend not to record, but I decided to record just for like my own. How long did it take me to do this? Like prosperity thing, I guess. But like those ladies that record themselves cleaning and then like move really fast through the video. That's kind of what I wanted to see, and I wanted to see if I could improve the process or how could I do it differently. Again, I'm just sorting through it, so I'm scattering them on the light board so I can see what's on them. I'm not worried about rhyme or reason. I'm more worried about speed for this. I will say my hands were pretty gross after handling all of these, just dust-wise. They've been around for a while. I have not found slides that were stored pristinely yet. More power to them if they were, but most of them have, some dust on them, or their containers have dust on them. I am putting them back in holders that I have for my other slides. They didn't go back in the holders that they came from, because the holders that they came from were for the metal 10 frames, and these won't fit in those holders anymore. So I just happen to have extra slide like arms, or I don't know what you call them, but the longer slide holders. Each one holds 33 slides in it, but I can put 2 slides in each thing and hold 66 slides in each arm. And that also gives me a slight count to how many I have, where I don't have to worry about counting them one-on-one. I can just go through and put them in the slots and kind of figure out where I am. So each one of those sleeves is 66 slides. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and have a wonderful day.